I have for you an amazing exercise to really improve the role of that trail elbow in your downswing, get you to spear the golf ball with this exercise. It's really going to help you if you're looking to improve the quality of contact. Make sure you check out this video. So today we're discussing that trail elbow. So for me as a right-handed golfer, my right elbow, moving it correctly in your downswing is going to help your swing path. It's going to help you maintain lag. It's really going to help you improve the quality of your strike, of your contact, getting that ball turf contact. So especially important with the irons. But this movement is still true when we talk about the woods, the driver also. So what you'll have seen me do there, first of all, is what I'm calling the spear drill. You saw me throwing the stick down towards the golf ball. So let's start with that and let's talk about that movement and why it's important in our golf swing, and then how I'm going to get you to feel that when you're actually moving the golf club. So in the backswing, and we're not going to focus too much here, but what we want to see with that trail elbow, we want it to start to fold and point a little bit down, okay? So we don't want the elbow working too much out, away from us, because then we've got to change direction, which some players do and do successfully. We're talking about making a simpler movement here, really, aren't we? So folding and folding down. Now, how much, or the angle we get that trail arm will depend on mobility and flexibility, especially in that right shoulder rotator cuff. But if we could get the arm sort of similar to our back angle, our spine angle, that would be a pretty good checkpoint at the top of the golf swing. So I'm not going to focus too much, but let's say we're at that position. We've allowed it to fold downwards and we're getting it sort of behind our body and at a similar angle to our back in terms of the elbow slightly behind my body, almost in line with my backside here. Now on the downswing movement, what I want to try and get is the elbow staying flexed, working in front of my trail hip and rib cage and extending into impact. What we see with a lot of golfers who are perhaps pulling down is their elbow maybe moves behind them. For the golfer who swings much more out to in, we see the trail elbow work out in front, but actually the elbow goes high. It doesn't stay bent down. So we're looking for it to stay below the wrist and the handle, down in front of my trail hip and rib cage. And as I said, it's also important that it starts to straighten into impact. So we're keeping it bent, keeping it bent, keeping it bent. It's straightening into impact, and both arms should be extended straight just after we hit the golf ball. So the lead arm will be straight for the whole of the backswing and the downswing in an ideal world. The trail arm will be bent, but straightening into impact, because we've got to allow that angle that we create in our trail arm and trail wrist to go at some stage. Otherwise we'd miss the top of the golf ball and we wouldn't transfer that energy. The club needs to be reaching its sort of maximum speed and power at impact. So we've got to allow that elbow to move almost like we're skimming a stone or throwing a ball. So what I was doing here, I was getting the feeling that I was actually going to sort of spear the golf ball at the start of the downswing, and actually I almost then want to skim it because I want to allow it to extend. So I'm actually throwing ahead of the golf ball down my target line, but the first initial move is like I'm spearing the golf ball. That's kept my trail elbow flexed and in front of me, and you can see my elbow is lower than my hands and the handle where the golf club would be. So I'm almost spearing the golf ball here, pointing it at the golf ball. Now the reason I'm throwing it in front of the ball is I'm actually allowing my body to start to rotate. So I could go for that movement first, but then once we start to add some rotations, that spearing movement, now rotate. And you can see now I'm throwing it just a little bit ahead of the golf ball, almost down my target line with that trail elbow movement. Once I've done some of those, I'd really get the golf club and just do some little quarter swings, okay? Some little quarter or half swings, allowing that trail elbow to fold, feeling like it stays folded in front of me and it's extending into impact. So just a little quarter swing. Feeling it flexed, flexed, extending. So it's trying to get that movement of the trail arm at a slower, shorter movement first of all. We could put that into a whole golf swing and break it down. spearing the golf ball there, the elbow in front of me and flexed. And now extending, okay? So I can actually go for a top of the backswing, spearing movement, and then throwing in, extending. Now, the reason I actually thought about this video is I was filming a video actually on the other side, the lead shoulder. And I was doing an exercise and I did talk about that spearing movement at the start of the downswing with the club across my shoulders, so the lead shoulder moving down and in front of me, almost that I was spearing the golf ball there before I opened up. And that got me thinking actually about the trail arm and the trail elbow and how we could actually do perhaps the same idea or have the same concept in our head, but focus more on the right side for a right-handed golfer rather than the lead side. So this would really be relevant for the trail arm in the backswing and the start of the downswing. But I'm going to put a link here to the video I filmed talking about the lead shoulder, which has obviously got some real relevance to what we're discussing today, so check that one out. Right, let's do one more little quarter swing before I hit a full one. Just focusing on that elbow, staying flexed in front of me and extending into impact. And the reason that was a better contact is I just allowed my body to rotate and extend through the golf ball. So that's giving me almost room to extend that arm. If my body stays down, the elbow is tend to stay bent and flexed through the golf ball. So we've got to allow space for that arm to work correctly. Effectively, my body is just getting out of the way. It's rotating and it's straightening into impact. Let's see if I can take that feel into a full swing. Sort of multi-use exercise of that trail arm, trail elbow. Although that's just a little bit left, I love the contact of that. So I'm hitting here a 6-iron, and I got some really good distance there. So that felt fantastic, fell out of the middle. It was finished 200 yards, flew about 190, 187. It was left to target, but I love that quality of contact. So when you're trying something new, as I said, get through that first 5 or 10 without panicking about the direction, the strike. Perhaps when you're focusing on something new, get it on video to have a little look. By the time we get to the course, ideally we want to be a bit more free-flowing. We don't want to be quite as conscious about it. Let me hit one more to finish with. That still felt good and much more down my target line. So that one was just a little bit more automatic, perhaps a little bit less thinking over the golf ball, which is where we want to get to by the time we're actually playing golf. But give that spear exercise a go. It's great to just grab an alignment stick, whatever you've got handy, bamboo cane in the garden, get that feeling of what the trail elbow is doing into impact, then perhaps build it up to what it's doing at the top of the backswing and the start of the downswing, then into impact. Then start with some little small movements of the golf club before you go into the full shot. The fault I see with many golfers when they're working on something new is they try and do it flat out full pace. It just doesn't work. Break it into smaller chunks first, more manageable, get that feel before you move on. If that video has helped, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And right now, YouTube is suggesting the next video of mine that's also relevant for you, and it's just here. So click on that and check it out.